piece of junk. Piece of junk.
No matter what the job, how hard, or just how long that it might take, no matter what you change or move, or how many parts that you will make, there's always that thing to figure out. Might be success or might be fail. Change one thing to move three more. Seems it always is a tale.
Well, hello, my name's Ralph and welcome back to the channel. It's my time, let's go. Well, as you've seen at the end of last week's video, the old dragon bike went out and worked good. We got all the other problems straightened out that we thought we had, and then the Brembo brake burned up on me. Now, I fooled with this thing, I fooled with it for the last couple of years, and I'm all done. I'm all done. No doubt I could do something, get a kit, rebuild it, stick it on again, but I'll tell you, I have no faith in it. And the little tiny discs that's on there, it just makes for even a bigger nightmare. So, knowing after the last bunch of years it was always a problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, I think, to the original style setup, or I do have a different brake that I may be able to put in and try on the small disc where it is, but I don't know. I haven't quite decided. But I do have a nice, beautiful 4-piston caliper brake that's been redone, rebuilt, and I think I'm going to use that. So this will look good on it, with a nice discs on it, and bring us back to the way it should be. Sometimes custom things can work, you know, and guys tried a lot of innovations in the early years. I know this bike was built somewhere back in the late 90s, and they used some innovations, and they had Brembo brakes, and my front Brembo works killer, you know what I mean? But the back one, it's just been an ongoing issue. So today we're gonna strip things down, get it apart, get that brake off of it, probably blow it out, see what happened. I'm pretty sure it burned the seals right out of it. And see about fitting another one on there and seeing what I can go through. It's quite a bit of work to get it off, and I know my exhaust plate here has been mounted in close, and if I change that disc setup, I'm gonna have to move that out, so I'll have to re-drill some holes and move the whole assembly out. But as with anything else, change one thing, move three more. That's the way it always goes. So, let's get at it. Let's start stripping this thing down, because I want this bike to work good and I want it to stop solid. So I don't want to fool with it anymore at all. And I put up a little short there about my brakes, about the thing in it. It was in last week's video, and I'm hoping someone has a lead on a rebuild kit for the master cylinder on the front to make sure it's right. I don't know. It's always a combination of things, but in any case, we're going to tear it down. On a bright note, yesterday it was 25 degrees here, and I was out on the trike all afternoon, and I'm telling you, it just helped me clear my head of the whole issue. I was a little bit snotty and not in a very good mood when all this happened to me, because I was depressed because I wanted to ride it, but I jumped on old Pearl. Away we went for a drive for a few hours there at one point, and really cleared me out. So I suggest you all do the same. If you find yourself getting frustrated, everything's getting to you, jump on your bike, go for a ride. Forget about the stresses of life. Think about enjoying it yourself. All right, let's get on with it. So, we've got to start by getting our shields off, our exhaust off again. Good thing I made the other parts that I needed to make it easy to get on and off, or else I'd be cursing again. But now, knowing that I've made a new stud for the end up in here, you know, it's not going to be too much trouble at all. There we go. And I know I forgot to show it in the other video, but this is the little piece that we made. It's just drilled, tapped out inside, and it's long enough to come out past the frame so that it will work fine for our rear nut. And you can see, just took me a minute, off it comes. A real relief. So I've got to undo my heat shield now again, otherwise you'll bark them all up at the top. So I've got to get all these covers off in order to get at the axle. A lot of pieces. They say I'm going to have to modify a few things as I get going here. It's all part of the process. I think I'm going to modify this bracket, cut the front of it out. I can't get at the adjusting screw, and because of it you have to try and take everything off, try and get it out, and it's very difficult. We're going to have to move this bracket over, these bolt holes, and shove this whole thing over this way in order to make it fit proper. Another change. All right. Go around, get the other side. Wiring out. Yeah, get out of there, you piece of junk. Find myself a disc, get that off, get that bolted on, slide it back in, see where I'm going from there. So I've got myself a disc, and it's a 2000 and up disc front, but I can make it work, no problem. And I've got to use a little spacer ring. This will get me started and help me to figure out where I've got to go in order to make my bracket and make sure I have clearance, etc., 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 etc. I might have to cut the knob off of the frame, which would be kind of a pain, but we'll see where we can go from here. You gotta start somewhere. Now it looks like I'm gonna have to also replace all my brake lines, because they're a one-piece unit on there. That'd be another 150 bucks or so, 200. But we'll see when it's mounted up where it's gonna go. And my rear belt pulley is getting, teeth are getting worn a little bit on, and I think it's got a 65 on it, and I think I've got a 65 new one here somewhere, but I have to have a look and see if I can find it and see what the spacing is on it. So what we gotta do is make a bracket so that I can mount this on here. So I need something from the center up here, and by hook and by crook and by guess. The other one I know is not going to be close, so I guess the best thing for me to do is to slip it in there with my spacer and see how far I am from the mount that they've welded on the frame, and see where I've got to go from there. So this is the little mount that they've put on the frame to lock up the other system that they had, and I'm kind of hoping that I can make a bracket that'll utilize this. As my disc is in far enough, it appears it won't interfere with this, so maybe I can try and incorporate my new bracket and use that as the brake stop, but we'll see. So we'll try to get it up in place here. And I know that this is the spacer for it. The bracket was part of the spacer as well, so I'll have to get something to compensate for that, so that I can tighten it up into position where it should be. Get a measurement on this so I know what kind of spacer I need. 68. All right, so I'll have to go look through my junk of axles and spacers and stuff and see what I can find to put in there, kind of get us in position. So we've got our wheel on, and what I've opted to do is put the bracket that the Brembo was on and see where that fits in order to figure out where I have to mount my brake. Now I'm really close, and if I can keep things in relatively the same position, I want it to fool my brake lines and stuff. Judging by where this sits on here, and it needs to be a little bit deeper, so I need to round this off to bring that end in. This end will come in fine, and I actually want it out just a little ways. And in order to get the cylinder to space off, I've got to make a bracket that stands out off of it just enough to fit that on there and keep my brake centered. and the brake has to go in a little bit. So I'm going to round this one off and see if I can design sort of a plate. Then I got to get a little piece of cardboard there and kind of cut something out, mark some holes on it and stuff, and see where it would be. And I'm just going to try and make something up there just to fit it and have a look. So we'll get what I need and then come back. So we're getting down to it. I've cut a piece of cardboard there and stuck a couple bolts in to give me an idea of where I'm going, and I know that I want to move this back. So I'm going to have to grind a little bit off the original bracket and try to bring it back a little bit so I can bring this in just a little bit closer, not a whole lot, before I put my top hole in for that. It's got to come out this way, so I'm going to take a measurement and see how thick of a piece of aluminum maybe that I would have that'll come out here and help me with my problem. I know I'm going to have to space things out to make it fit, and it's going to be a tight fit in a bunch of places here, but that's about where we're at so far. So I'll bring you back when I got something else figured out. You know, you try to do something, it's always change one thing, move three more, like I always say. You know, you don't want it to be a complete nightmare to get at. So we're going to try and figure something out. But you have to start somewhere. You've got to cut some pieces, take a chance, do that. Chances are you won't be right the first time. But you'll go back next time, do something else, to get you closer to where you want to be. I haven't quite decided yet. So we're still puttering away. We're getting pretty close here. But as I said, you probably got to make one thing and then make another. We've got to bring this one in a little bit. Just in this way, a tiny bit. We need to make our bracket right on that line. It's very rarely that things sometimes work out. All right, so we'll take that off, give everything a look and make sure where our interference is and everything there. We're still having a bit of trouble with our wheel as to where it will hit, but we'll still be able to use our brake line. Yeah. All right, but we're coming. We're getting something geared up here. It doesn't look bad. It's going to still look presentable. Nobody will know the difference. And the spikes on these are nice with the dragon theme. All right, guess that'll be it for today. Time to go for a ride. So it's always hard deciding which way you're gonna go and what you should do, but I think what I'm doing, I've had some guys give me some part numbers and stuff for a rebuild kit, but everywhere I look, there's no such thing available. Out of stock forever. So since I'm gonna replace everything, I'm gonna want to make sure I have the right size master cylinder, etc. So I've dug around and I do have a set of controls now. They were for 2000 and up, which means the bolt pattern is different on them. So I'm going to have a look at them today and see if I can maybe make an adapter plate, or to save me some aggravation, to mount the controls up. So I got to take them apart basically here to be able to have a look. So that's what we're doing today on a Saturday on my day off. But sometimes, yeah, I need them foam things, Mike. Sometimes you get things on your mind and you can't get them off your mind, so. There we go. So I'm gonna take this apart and see just what we got going there and what the problem might have been. Well, after an hour digging with little tiny screws bowel back in the back in here, it's quite a setup. I mean, it ain't gonna come off, let's put it that way. But there's so many things to it, it's almost like a little puzzle trying to take the thing all apart, figure out where it goes. There we go. That takes care of that. Just have to kind of keep that aside, and someday if I can figure out something for a rebuild kit. Somebody suggested I could make the plastic piece. Yeah, I could do that, but the plastic piece is okay. And I would probably even get the O-rings, but the little red piece that goes on the end of it. I can't fabricate that, and you need the proper thing to replace it. So what we're going to try to do is adapt a new set on here that I have, and they're like this. They're not a bad looking set of controls, but the bracket for the back, the holes to bolt in down here are different. So I have to make an adapter plate, something to go off the back that will bolt in, and then I can bolt these ones to it once it's mounted there, and that will lock the screws in there. So that's the plan. Shouldn't be nothing more than a 5-minute job, I don't think. The hardest part is this nut sticking out here, and so we have to make something that, you know, is a bracket, but it's milled out to fit down in there as well. So upon digging around and stuff, and I'm trying to figure out what to do here, so I dug around through my stash and I found a set of 4 controls that'll work for like $86 to $99 there, you know, that's before the 2000. And it saved me doing a lot of work trying to make adapter plates. I could go around and make adapter plates for them and such, but I think I'm going to be fine here with this. There shouldn't have any interference with the exhaust, so we've got to check that out. And for some reason the plunger seems to be stuck in there a little bit, so we're going to have to do something with that and free that up. See if I can find all the other pieces to make it fit. It's kind of an odd setup as well, but we'll get those on, and I think they'll be all right on there. They're black, but who's to be too fussy, you know, when the price is right. Save me a lot of extra work if I can make these fit. I've got, you know, all the time when you do it, you've got to change other things. So, but we're going to have a look at it and see what we can do here, and I think they'll work out just right. I do have a little peg I can use there for that one. And I'll have to find something for the other one because I don't think there's a brake peg on it either. So I'll have to look around and see what I can find. There's lots of things that have to be done, and if they change these, if I bring my brake bracket up higher here, I have to change all the brake lines. So that's sort of a pain. That's sort of like a couple $100 venture just to change the brake lines, because they're all one piece here. And if I move things, I could probably bend this one around and have it match up okay. But when I get to the back here, there's nothing I can do with it. And because of the sort of junction box that there is, it's not for individual lines, it's for one big long piece. So I have to dig around and see what I got for pieces. I'm getting down on stainless. I've been using up a lot of it. So I'm, you know, down to having to buy stuff now. So we'll see how it goes. So we're going to take this stuff off. It's going to change my position a little bit. The pegs are going to come down about 1 inch, but I think that'll be all right. But because everything's different, these ones sit back a little bit farther in place, like around there somewhere. So I'm going to need a shorter shift rod to go back here, because this one certainly won't work. And like I said, I do have a peg on this one, and I think I've got just a straight linear one that I might be able to use. But we'll get this off, start getting that on, and that'll eliminate one other thing that we have to deal with as we go along. And then I can concentrate my time on a brake bracket, etc. All right, let's get her changed out. Yes, we have to change out these pieces, but we use them on something else, and I think I've got some chrome rod, I hope. It's just 5/16, so we can always make something if we had to. It looks like they had some pieces in there that sort of cut and look like a wedge plate. But I think I have a wedge plate that I'll put on it. And there we go. Let's see where she's going to sit. I'm just going to stick these in, so I'll see where I am and See if we're going to interfere here. Sometimes things are so close. So close. We've got to pay attention to. We've got to put a bolt in here first to bolt our foot peg in, because you won't get it in afterwards. And we're going to have to find a rod for there. Shift rods. Do you have one? I'll have to scrounge around and have a look. But we're getting there, and I'm going to find a nice long countersunk bolt for there to go into the foot peg. I don't want it to just be in the end of it, because these screw on here. So let me get her about right. So we're getting our plates in place now. Got our thing on for our foot peg. All right, now my little wedge plate will fit proper. There we go. Okay. The holes are not drilled right. I'm gonna have to enlarge this one because it makes the bolt want to cock out like that for some reason. Just not quite at the right place. All right, we've enlarged them out a little bit, so hopefully they'll fit on there now with a little bit of wiggly room. We just gotta unhook that so we can put our spring on. Might as well do it now. Take a moment to get a little grease for there. So we're ready to put our kickstand on. We got some grease on it. For some of you that have probably seen this in my other videos, you know how this goes. But for others, I get asked this sometimes, and how do I get my kickstand on? How do I get that damn spring on? Everything's so tight. Let me show you a quick and easy way. All right, we just take our kickstand, you slide it up in there, and turn it as far as you can this way. And once you've got your spring hooked up into the frame, or into the stop where you need it, you just take your other end, just push your stand so you can slide it right in there like that. Turn it around, set your top piece where you want it, and that'll do it. Put a little bit of Loctite on our top bolt. Well, that's all there is to it. Certainly takes the stress and pulling on springs and everything else and trying to get it in there. Takes all that out of it. So it's a very simple procedure. Now I notice that mine comes up pretty close here. I do have a rubber bumper here, but the little talons on his leg here is very close to our primary. So I'll probably get one of these fork stops or the kickstand stops like I've shown you before to put on here. They're very efficient, and they just keep that off from rattling underneath or somewhere hitting against your primary there where you see the wear marks all the time. So I'd probably add one of those to it. All right. So after sleeping on it and giving it some thought and deciding which way I'm going to go, I decided that I might as well make myself a new bracket completely for the thing. So we've peeled the tire off. and we've taken it in and put it on the bench so we can draw ourselves up a template and see if we can fabricate something up there that might do the job. So come on along, we'll see what we got. So what we've done is lay our tire down, and we've put our old bracket on, and we've traced a piece out on a piece of cardboard to see if we can get approximately where we're going. And as you can see, that's what we've got here. We've got this lined up down here. This is where our slot is through here, and our center piece is in here, and this is where our brake wants to go. So if we take this out, this can kind of show you where we're at. We'll put this little piece on here. It just helps to keep it in place a little bit. Square it up. And there we go. We've put our brake on. We've kind of traced it out to where we think it's going to go here. And then we're just going to move it up a little bit to get it off of the disc. That's what we're working on. So as you can see, we kind of got a plan here. We got some things drawn out, and I'm hoping that it's going to do the job. Now when this is on here, we have this bracket, so I haven't quite decided yet whether I'm going to go from the inside out or the outside in. To thread and tap this piece, I'm going to make it out of 1/4-inch stainless steel, so we could tap into it depending on where we want it to sit, but it'll only be up this high. But we still have to get this to go out, and we may have to like put a small bend in it there in order for it to reach the stop on our frame. So as with many things like this, as we're going, what I'm going to do is set my machine up, my plasma cutter, and we're going to cut out a template just out of something like 14 or 16 gauge, just something thin. It's not too expensive before we go to cut the plate steel. Then we can take it out and you know, try it on the bike. We'll just put a couple little sort of temporary holes in it for the brake, but that'll certainly tell us where we are in our alignment, where we'll have to space this, and what sort of appropriate spaces we'll have to make to go in between here to set this where it should be. All right, so we'll go over and see Eleanor and see how we're doing. So as you can see, we got it kind of sketched out on here. I got a rough drawing of it, and I think we're right, but you never know until you try. So we'll have to cut one out and go over to the bike, see how it fits, then see what kind of modifications I want to make or change, or a longer slot or something like that. All right.
Try new parts to make them fit. So many ideas that you will try. Not the first one or the second, might be that pie up in the sky. But when the final decision's made, that piece is cut and it is tried, you can never beat that feeling of self-worth and filled with pride.
So there's our little test piece. First one to do. So I've got my little test piece now, and I've drilled the 3/8 holes out there just to see if our bolts will go straight in through without any problem, because those are exactly centered where we'll be tapping them out. So just take that off, and we'll slide our axle in. Go. Good there. Slide this on. There. Yeah. We're in the right spot this way. But we're off by a little bit on this one. And we've got to pull that one over a little bit. Just a little bit. I don't know how we get off on that, but that's why we make a template first. Sometimes you can find you get so many measurements on the go that you can get messed up. I'm just going to roll this around where I can have a better look at it here. And with this one here, we have our clearance here that we're looking for. We take that bolt out, shoves down hard that way. So bringing it out gives us our clearance there. Height-wise is good, but we're just off. So We'll mark this. And then we'll go back to the drawing board. Look, we are so close there. We are so very close there. All right. I don't quite see how we get off that much, but we are. So we'll go back, redraw it, just pull that in just a little bit, and that should do it. Yeah, so we've got another one out there, and I think I'm pretty close now. You know, something happened in between them and got misconstrued a little bit. Often happens when you're dealing with so many different measurements. But now we're gonna try it. And our 3/8 bolts should drop right in these holes here. That's what we're looking for. And that way we know we can drill the holes because we got a pilot, little tiny pilot hole there that'll keep us dead straight. Then we can tap our holes in that and our bolts will drop right through. So let's see. Slide our brake on. And if it was hitting there, we want to make sure that there's some space there and I can see it. So now this has got to come out a little bit off the rotor. We'll try that one straight down in there. And we'll try that one. Straight down in there. We're not hitting the rotor at all. We got lots of clearance there. That is exactly what we're looking for. So that's our new piece. If we put that in the bike, then we'll see where we are. I guess I could drop a little nut in through there and go out and try it on the bike just to make sure before we cut our last piece. And then we'll see if we have to bend this. I think we got to put a little rise in it. So I think I'll do that. I think I'll take a moment and we'll go slide the tire in and the wheel in so we can see where we got to be just in case that slot has to be a little longer or something once we bend it and get it where we want it. But I think we'll go try that. So there, now we got our wheel on for our test fit and everything looks pretty good. Now the only thing I have left to do is to fool with my spacers. Once I make it out of 1/4 inch steel bolted together, I'm going to have to make my spacers fit like they want. I may weld the spacer to the plate, I may not. I haven't quite decided. It'll be fine clamped down in there in between, but we'll see how it goes. I can see we'll get one line here a little thicker than the other. I can probably bring this shape in a little tiny bit. Those are the sort of things you see once you get it on the bike and you stand back and you look at it. When you're just looking at a template, you go, oh yeah, well, yeah, that looks pretty good, but not sure about that. And we might just bring this side in a little more for a little more support on that, because that's where all the stress is on it. Although you're not gonna bend 1/4 inch stainless steel plate. It's just not gonna happen. You've got to put a bend in it to get it to come out here to fit into the slot. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with that. So I can go ahead and start ordering up my brake lines and the things that I need to make the thing work right. But it takes a little bit of fooling around. But like I say, now we can look at it and say, hey, I think I'll bring that line in a little bit. You know, I think I'll touch this one in a little bit here just to give it a little shape. And make it look a little bit better. And I think we'll bring in some more support just in this area here. And maybe down to here. We could bring that swoop down just to give it extra strength at those points. Other than that though, it's gonna work good. And end of the braking problems, and I probably should have done it a long time ago, but I'm doing it now. All right then, that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll be cutting out the main plate and we'll see how that goes. But I'm pleased with where we're at. We've got the program dialed in. Everything looks good, so that's what it'll be. That's what it'll be. Now, because we have that template, we could also extend this bracket down and put an ear down on the bottom like we do on the Shovelheads and such. And then this kind of brake with 3.5 inch centers would fit on any 11 inch disc, and we'd have the template in our computer. So I may do that as well. Take some measurements just down here and see where we'd be on a stabilizer bar across, you know, and you might as well do it while you're working on it and get the template, then it's in. So if you enjoyed this video today, like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, do those kind of things. It helps us to grow. Be sure to check out my buddies down south, Hippie's Chopper Corner and Slick Ed's Custom Cycles. Well, we've got a bit done to her and we're getting in a little bit deeper than I planned on with the old Dragon, but it's a good thing because these brakes have bothered me for the last couple of years and it was time for me to do some things to replace stuff. So we're working away at it, you know. As we've gone through it, I've talked to myself and gone over some things and thought, well, what could it have been? Well, I did change the plunger in the master cylinder. As one of my subscribers mentioned to me, you know, we could have been locking up the back pressure and not allowing it to let the pressure off. It's quite possible. I've got an old brake line that's been on here probably since late 90s. Now I have heard of brake lines collapsing and things like that, causing that same sort of problem, not allowing pressure to go back. Could have been that. In any case, we're going to have a new master cylinder, which I got to take off and check the plunger on it. We're going to have a new brake on the rear, and we're going to have all new stainless steel brake lines. So that should eliminate my problems and give me, you know, a whole summer full of trouble-free riding here on the Dragon, which I look really forward to because it's a beautiful bike. So next week we're going to cut out the main piece for our support bar here and get that done out of the 1/4-inch stainless steel, get our brake set up. I'm ordering some brake lines today, so they'll be in by the end of the week. So I should hopefully by next week be able to take this thing out for a drive. Right now the weather's nice, so Pearl and me got a date. The temperatures are coming up and it's 5 o'clock, so I'm headed out for a drive this evening, and I hope you all do the same. So if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe to the channel. It keeps us going and helps us grow along. We're pushing up towards, I can see 10,000 in my headlights, you know, but I don't want to get my hopes up or anything, but it's been a long journey, and when they say when you hit that 10,000 mark, then it makes a difference. But who knows? I can ask Hip Dog about that. He can give me a better answer than I could give you. But we're shooting towards that 10,000, so please do subscribe and help our channel to grow and get along. By the way, I've got you a little video for the end here this week. I don't know how I find the time to do it, but I've been finding time because I've been really enjoying it. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you next week.
Another day, another task, the decisions that you will make. Now you've got another problem. Just how long will this one take? Remove the parts again. It's like you've been here once before. So much time and so much effort just to get her out the door. Dig through your parts and all your pieces till you find the one that's right. An old brake disc, another spacer, each one you find is a delight. To make things fit with what you got, it's always not an easy task. There's many trials and often failures. Yes, some things can set you back. No matter what the job, how hard, or just how long that it might take. No matter what you change or move, or how many parts that you will make, there's always that thing to figure out. Might be success or might be fail. Change one thing, then move 3 more. Seems it always is a tale. You will try, not the first one or the second, might be that pie up in the sky. But when the final decision's made, that piece is cut and it is tried. You can never beat that feeling of self-worth and filled with pride. When failing up the pieces, the challenges, they can be hard. Measure this and measure that. Just don't use the plastic card. When it finally comes together, it's that feeling that can't be beat. That sense of pride that you get when you're what you change or move,